Welcome back to Prime Arcana, Interlude 2, Skullmuther. And as a DM's note, for history's sake, your mother, Skalva Wildstone, was the daughter of Jarl Skadi, and that's S-K-A-D-I, Wildstone, Skadi. When Skalva was younger, she traveled outside of the Scourge Garden, where she fell in love with an elven man and fell pregnant. When Skadi was slain during a hunting trip, Skalva returned to the Scourge Garden, ready to fulfill her duty in taking over the leadership of the tribe, but passed from this life during childbirth. Her younger sister, shaman and wet nurse, Skalva Wildstone, had long been ostracized from the clan for her unorthodox views on nature, magic, and the divine, was given the three newborns by the clan's new leadership, who considered their mixed lineage tainted and impure with small folk blood. As a way to justify her guilt, Skalva saw the children as divine deliverance, believing their blood to be the very thing that could return magic to the frost giants, brought back from the Fairlands by her sister. Thus, the three of you were raised on the farthest fringe of your people's world, whispered about and feared, mocked, occasionally attacked, but your aunt sees you as holy. Everyone else sees you as a mistake. The three of you know better. You are divine, chosen by the gods, delivered back to your people by your mother's sacrifice. And one day, magic will return to this land through your hands. The leather flap, serving as the cottage's door, falls back into place behind Skogul as your boots crunch into the snow behind your sisters. The vast morning sky is a pale gray and overcast, smeared with thick clouds over the frozen plains. Your favorite kind of day. So, what is the relationship of these three siblings? How do they get along, having spent almost every waking moment together since birth, as they step out of their cottage into the little encampment?
I kind of imagine that because there's two of them and one of me, I've been fighting that dynamic my whole life. I get the impression that they're naturally going to be more inclined in a form of leadership, simply because it seems like women in this clan are pretty hardcore, pretty powerful, pretty well respected. So yeah, I feel like maybe Skogul is a bit of a runt in this family.
I definitely also see Siobhan and Shaela ganging up on Skogul quite frequently.
Yeah, I imagine I probably have to prove myself a little bit more often. Maybe there's a little bit more he has to do to win over favor.
Then what makes each of you unique?
Siobhan enjoys the thrill of the hunt, and more often than not, she is pushing her way forward to get the killing blow when they go out. As far as hobbies, she probably leans into the craftsmanship of her weapons, and she takes great pride over them.
I would say that Shaela, she also enjoys the thrill of the hunt, but I would say that she's probably the most spiritual of the three of them. She's very interested in that whole, like, we are divine, and she probably spends a lot of her time making like religious items for worship, and she takes their like destiny very seriously. She's the one who's always pushing to remember the gods and stay in line and be grateful for what we have.
Yeah, I think Skogul naturally thinks that Shaela is a bit fucking nerdy, and he doesn't really respond to that kind of thing. He finds himself trying to keep himself alone just so he doesn't get picked on by the two of them. So he loves nature. He loves spending time in it. If he sees a creek with some bugs in it, he wants to look at the bugs. If he sees an animal giving birth, he just watches it. He's kind of into the ebb and flow of the world. And whenever the pressures of their grandiosity are placed on him, he tends not to respond well to it.
What do you find amusing about your siblings? And who's the easiest to tease?
Oh, Skogul is the easiest to tease by far. I feel like, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like they would all kind of take turns teaming up on each other. But I think by far it's Siobhan and Shaela picking on Skogul a lot.
Like the most frequent pick-on pair, the picking pair.
Yeah. And I don't know if it would like always be malicious, right? Like at times they'll definitely dig in with each other, but
Yeah, I think having that sense of adversarial sibling rivalry does sound right to me. Maybe we love doing pranks to each other, and in terms of who gets up on top the most, maybe I don't deliver pranks that are as effective as the ones you guys do. But I also think that he probably doesn't get humor that well. So when they are pranking him, it feels like bullying. And then even when they rib him and are like, oh, we're just messing with you, bro, I feel like he doesn't quite know how to respond. A little bit on the spectrum there.
He's sensitive. I think Shaela would like that about him. So I think she would really enjoy that he is kind of just like the baby of the group. And I would say probably Siobhan goes the hardest, is my guess, on the like pranking and the retaliation, especially. Like if Skogul does like a stupid little trap, Siobhan like has to take it like 3 steps further. Whereas I think Shaela is probably attempts to sometimes be a mediator because she's in the middle, I think, based on my understanding of how this is going. And that is very like middle child.
Okay.
God, I'm doing it already.
Yep. Sliding right on in.
I think I could definitely see that Skogul would what we find amusing. So I think for Shaela, he'd probably find it amusing or a positive thing that she's kind of the mediator, because he feels like if she's involved in the prank, it probably won't go so far. And he would never say this to her face, but with Siobhan, he respects how, I guess, strong she is, but he would literally never, ever let her know that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And on that note, what are your siblings better at than you?
I think, by and large, Shayla's good to follow through. I don't have to worry. No one ever has to worry about a task she's given. I'd say that Siobhan's probably really good at just hunting and making sure that the things around them that need to die are killed effectively.
Yeah, Shaela definitely excels more in the people aspect. Like they're already so removed from society.
Secluded.
Like isolated.
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 Yeah. That they all probably struggle to communicate effectively. But I think by far Shaela definitely does the best.
What's Skogul better at than Siobhan?
Well, she thinks nothing. She's best at. She's so much better.
That's a valid answer. Yeah.
He's good at being the little brother.
Shaela thinks that Siobhan is really good at. I think she admires the leadership position that Siobhan takes in so far as making sure, like kind of what Skogul was saying, like making sure things get done, making sure that they're taken care of, even if it is a little bit scrappy at times. I can see Siobhan kind of taking the lead and being a little bit harsher because she knows what it takes to survive. And I think for Skogul, Shaela, even though she is the religious one, I think in watching how he connects with the world around him, she believes that he actually deep down is the most like centered and grounded because he spends so much time in contemplation. Like he's going to put all of his effort into whatever it is that he sets his mind to.
Great questions.
And so none of you expect to see your aunt until later in the day, when the afternoon bleeds the sun. She was up late again last night, singing words and making love to the moon. Across the yard, the old barn towers over you, covered in lichen and draped in furs and patched hides to keep the warmth in. Pale smoke trails from a slanted chimney. The door is slightly ajar. Farther up the slope, you can see the morning fire pit, where your aunt's followers are already preparing breakfast. Leif the Grinner squats on a log, baring his yellow teeth through cracked lips as he stirs a pot of barley porridge. Thursdiv Smoke Eye watches the flames with one milky eye, and he blows ash from the breadstone with just long, slow exhales. And Vigal the Fool cackles to himself as his flowered hands are slapping together the molds of today's loaves into vaguely bird-shaped lumps. And then finally there's Nivaldi the Brotherless, who stands by, silent as ever, leaning on a wooden staff and watching the three of you with a pleasant nod. Each of them looks tired from last night's ritual.
What a family.
Nivaldi taps his staff on the stone and the others look up. Leif's eyes linger just a little too long for your liking. Within the barn, you hear cows mooing and half-feral hens clucking. You're hit with the building's stench well before you reach the front door. Inside, the hens roost in the loft, clucking and scratching, while a pair of sheep bleat softly. One of them stands on top of a feeding trough like she owns the place. To the left, near the sunken corner of the barn, two massive snow giants, Grunt and Strain. Mungan and Goshar are your aunt's slaves, bought a few years ago from the village when they were last here. Mungan is shirtless and his enormous back is covered in soot and mud. He holds a splintered support beam up in place while Hugashar squats below it, stuffing frozen sod and straw into the earth to help brace the foundation.
"Man, hold it,"
Goshar groans.
"I hold it, Hugh. Beam go up."
And there's a cracking sound as the wood settles under its own weight, followed by a heavy clunk as Goshar wedges a stone beneath the brace. Neither of them looks up at you as you enter. Their eyes are not meant for the chosen. Skalva forbids it. How do the three of you treat the snow giants? And as a DM's note, it should be noted that unlike their larger frost giant cousins, snow giants range between 12 to 15 feet tall, are non-violent, and typically used as slaves in frost giant communities. Finding a snow giant village on its own is extremely rare.
Yeah, I think based off of his early demeanor in life, he has a sort of reluctance seeing them because to him they shouldn't be there. They shouldn't be enslaved, but he also knows that that's not the popular opinion, so he kind of keeps that to himself.
As someone who is extremely isolated and lives as a nomadic plains exile, whose culture that he's exiled from is slave positive, why does Skogul disagree with slavery?
He relates to it in a way when he feels the way he gets pressed upon by his sisters and the demands of the world. He has a way of seeing himself in them.
I would say Shaela is she would treat them pretty much the same way that her aunt treats them. Like, she watches how they're treated by, because you said that they are their aunt's slaves, right? So I would guess that it's very cursory. It's not like she's showing them explicit kindness on any given level. It's just kind of, they exist and they're there, and if she's tasked with giving them instruction, she will, but they're just kind of a presence in their little village.
Siobhan kind of follows that same lead of she treats them as she's expected to, and she mostly just kind of ignores them and probably reacts a little bit too much when they mess something up. She probably yells at them when that happens.
In the corner, the cow shifts in her stall, snorting and stomping once as if annoyed. A bucket hangs nearby, still half full from yesterday's milking. The surface frozen over in a thin shell of cloudy ice. A row of chickens' nests line the back wall, half covered up in burlap and furs. To your right, the old water barrels sit empty, the lids off. Of the three siblings, who has taken it upon themselves to most ensure that the farm's chores get done? Because it's sure as hell not your aunt. She has laid expectations long ago. Y'all are coming up on your 16th year. You've been doing these daily farm chores since you were about 3 years old.
I think Skogul instinctively just takes the lowest rent job, the one that he knows that if he doesn't do, no one will do it, and he picks up a shovel for manure.
Does anyone shirk their duties ever to instead have Mungan or Hungashar do the work for you? because they are the slaves. So you can make them do some of this stuff for you.
I like the idea of him being like, no, I got it. Leave them out of it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know that Shaela would, like, they are her aunts and she respects her aunt. So if he's trying to get in the way of what their responsibilities are, she's probably going to try to give him a higher up task. But I think that Siobhan is the person to defer to specifically in the like divvying up of like the best to the worst.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think Siobhan is definitely the person who more often than not doles out the tasks. And she'll probably rotate pretty often enough who gets what task. But I mean, she definitely puts the two slaves to work. Honestly, I don't think any of them would shovel manure. That's way beneath them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Siobhan, anytime Skogul would try and do it, I think Siobhan would get in his face and, remind him what his position is and what their position is.
Would they have ever forcibly made him do that at any point?
I don't think so. As long as they have the slaves.
Okay. What would Siobhan have us do?
The list of chores here are gather eggs and return them to the longhouse, milk the cow and return the milk to the longhouse, feed the sheep, fetch water from the stream, stockpile and chop more firewood, brush new snowfall off the roofs, and shovel the manure out of the barn.
I think today Siobhan would give the collecting the eggs and feeding the sheep to Shaela, and she would send Skogul to go and collect water. I think she would take up milking the cow specifically because she loves to drink the fresh milk.
Okay.
Yeah. She would give shoveling the shit out of the barn definitely to the slaves. I feel like there's enough to keep both of them busy. I think she would take on the task of sweeping the snow off the roofs because it gives her a good chance to get up high and do some surveying. And Skogul would also probably have the chore of chopping wood.
Okay.
So they each kind of have like two things that they're doing.
Okay. So Shaela walks into the barn to, gather these eggs. One of the hens, as you reach down, like pecks sharply at your hand, which is not unusual. But today the pinch draws a little thin bead of blood that stings in the cold air.
She would like kind of hiss and draw her hand back and then shoo the hen like forcefully away from the eggs, like with the back of her hand.
What is the name of this hen? And on a scale of like one to massive problem, like how much of a problem is she in this hennery? Is she one of the worst or is she one of the better ones?
Her name is Nettie, and I would say she's one of the worst. That's why Shaela goes for her first, because if she doesn't, then this hen makes a habit of like riling up the rest of the chickens. But if she gets her eggs out of there first, then Nettie just kind of goes back to whatever she was doing before Shaela came in here.
Okay. And you notice that one of Nettie's eggs is an unusual color today. It's almost like this gray blue.
She'll put it in the bucket
Okay.
with the others. She'll say, "Ooh, Nettie, you made a different one today. Maybe that's why you're being so mean." And that's a joke because she's always mean.
Then, as she's doing that, across the way in the same barn, Siobhan sits down with the cows. And what is the name of the biggest cow in the encampment here that your aunt has? And you're about 9 feet tall, so they're little to you, but they're not tiny.
Do they have 3 cows? Betty, Beatty, and Baby. Betty is the biggest one. Beatty is probably somewhat similar, but Baby is she a little baby cow. She looks like a little baby cow. She's a full-grown cow, but she's smaller than the others and is therefore cuter than the others. But Betty gives the best milk.
Betty seems a little tense today.
Usually just kind of try and talk with her and tell her of what's happened so far in the morning and what the temperature is like outside.
She's just like, "Murr."
She just gives her a pat on her neck and a scratch behind her ears to try and get her to calm down.
When the pail is almost full, you hear like this cracking noise, like on the other side of the barn wall. Roll a perception for me. Nothing's there. You know, you listen, but you're not convinced that there's anything out there. And as you look back down, in the bucket, you notice that today's milk from Betty looks a little bit thicker than usual. It just smells fine, but it's a little bit more curdled than it should be.
I take it up to the longhouse. So I bid the other cows a farewell, very formal. And then as I meet Shaela, I show her the milk and I say, I don't think Betty's feeling too good. Look at what she gave today. It's very thick.
Shaela kind of sniffs at it and she thinks and she goes, Nettie gave me a weird egg today too. And she'll like tip the pail, kind of shift the eggs around to show her the gray blue one. And she says, maybe something got into the feed?
Yeah, Siobhan kind of gives like that same back to her. It's peculiar.
And Shaela just goes back to, because I think she's probably still gathering some of the eggs.
Yeah. And as Siobhan leaves the barn to head up to the, longhouse to drop the milk off, Skogul is not far from the little encampment, roughly maybe like a quarter of a mile. There's a small waterfall that comes from an underground cave network within the plains that like spills a good healthy fresh water source into this little ravine that runs along the plains behind your house here. And what's he doing? It's a nice drab morning.
Yeah, I think he's got his bucket hanging over his shoulder. He's kind of walking with a sense of like unbounded, like there's a weight off of him because he's not around his sisters at the moment. When he makes his way to the edge of the stream, he finds himself staring at his favorite little pool where he's seen ice minnows in the past. And he pauses at this pool, waiting to see if they appear. And without seeing them, he like kind of frowns a little and then dips the bucket into cold water. He realizes that there's another pool across the way that he's seen them in too. And as he kneels down to put the bucket in, he looks across to the other pool and kind of loses track of what he's doing.
When he looks back down and like sees it sort of like bobbing gently down along the like stream away from him, how does he get it back?
Yeah, so once he sees that it's getting away from him, this kind of oh shit moment hits him because he knows if he loses the bucket, he's going to catch hell. And he sprints. He gets down in a crouch and then sprints after the bucket down the stream.
Once he, gets up to where it's at, he leans down and reaches an arm into the cold water, which doesn't affect him at all. And
I think he'll probably grab a branch and reach down towards it. And then knowing that he's made this same stupid mistake before, he puts the branch on the other side of the arm to make sure that even if he loses it, it'll still catch.
And it catches. And it doesn't take long for him to pull it up onto the embankment, filled with fresh water, but he's sitting there heaving with his bucket back.
And as he's sitting there with the bucket, he just goes, you gotta pay more attention to himself.
As he's doing that, he sets the bucket on the embankment nearby and grabs the second one to start filling it up. This one, he doesn't let go of. This one he manages to hold on to. Remind me, who was doing the sheep?
I think that was Shaela, wasn't it?
Shaela.
After she, has finished with the chickens and, wandering out into the little pen outside of the barn where the sheep are kept, she sees that, as usual, one of the sheep keeps butting the others away from the trough. Who is this sheep and how do you intervene?
This is Marlo, the frickin' sheep. And she goes up because Marlo does this every day. And she says the same thing that she says every time she's got this chore, which is, we're going to eat you if you're not nicer. And she kind of like grabs the sheep by the ears and just kind of like does that thing where she's talking directly to it, but she has to turn its head to like speak to each eyeball so that it can see her because the eyes are on the sides. And she says, you got to stop doing that. You got to be nicer to your siblings.
He tries to headbutt you.
She is used to this. So I would say she like whips her head back and then headbutts him instead.
And because you are, so much bigger, like this much smaller sheep is just like, "Meh!" and just kind of like takes the hint and like stumbles off as he usually does. And after, he, kind of wanders off to go stop bothering anybody and just chewing on some plains grass, you're over with the younger sheep and you're making sure that they're suckling and getting their milk, and you notice that one of them like doesn't want to. It's just standing there staring at the other sheep with unblinking eyes.
She will approach it and try to see if there's anything like visibly wrong with it.
Go ahead and roll a nature check for me.
10.
I would say that she doesn't find any wounds anywhere.
Okay, so she will try to take a handful of the feed and try to like hand feed it.
Give me an animal handling check here. It's happy to eat the grain from your hands. It just didn't seem like it was entirely interested in drinking milk today. And like as you're, sitting there feeding this lamb the grain, you notice these kind of odd 3-clawed footprints in the snow.
She's gonna like pat the baby on its head because it's eating. And then she's going to follow the tracks to see if they lead somewhere.
There's not tracks. They're just standing. It's just like one set as if they just appeared and then disappeared.
She's going to look around the flock to see if there's any kind of... I mean, I assume she would have checked when she walked in, but she's going to take a stronger look. Do the sizes of the feet match the sizes of the... sheep hooves, or
no? They're
like
much
bigger or
they're
smaller?
much larger. They're like the size of a giant's foot, but it's just
The size of
these.
a giant's foot. Can she investigate them?
Sure.
Like get closer to them, see if there's anything that is interesting about them aside from the odd shape and size.
No, I mean the ground is packed. You do see that there's no blood. There's no, anything. There just appears to be this weird set of footprints standing in the snow directly on the inside of the sheep enclosure.
Is it like they have an inside-outside type thing? Like, can she usher them into like a barn?
Yeah, she can usher them into the barn. Go ahead and roll an animal handling for me.
Oof.
When she
6.
tries to usher them into the barn, Marlowe isn't happy that you dominated him with your headbutt, so when he sees that you're opening the fence to, try to move everything, he starts sort of bucking and going a little crazy, which stirs up the other sheep, and they start to, like, run around. And as Siobhan comes out of the longhouse, she sees this sort of chaos happening in the sheep pen at the same time that Skogul is coming back from the little river with his buckets of water and sees it as well. What does everybody do?
Yeah, I think Skogul approaches, but mindful of not spilling the buckets because he's been in trouble for that before. He sets them down and follows Siobhan's lead.
And I think Siobhan mistaking his gentleness with the buckets as, laziness and unwillingness to help. She's like, come on, Skogs.
And he sprints.
And when the two of you reach the sheep enclosure, please roll animal handling checks for me here. Okay, both of you succeed with a 14 and a 19. Go ahead and walk me through how this scene plays out of you helping Shaela.
After Siobhan yells at him, Skogul runs and he just leaps over the sheep and he just waits for a cue to start manhandling or animal handling.
Shayla's gonna want Siobhan to see the marks on the ground before the sheep all, because they're like kind of being chaotic. So I don't know, they might have already gotten wiped off. So she sees Skogul kind of get into position, and before continuing, she's going to tell Siobhan, there's something weird over here. I think we need to get the sheep inside. So she's like motioning Siobhan to come over to see it while kind of putting herself in a position to block them off from the other side of Skogul.
Siobhan kind of brings in the flank of the sheep, and she nods at Shaela, and she says, Skogul, you got this handled?
He kind of rolls his eyes, but doesn't let her see that. And goes, of course it's up to me. And then he just starts pushing them into the pen.
Okay, so then, yeah, Shayla's gonna wait for Siobhan to kind of get over to the other side. Like, she has every intention of assisting. She just wants to show Siobhan first. And she points to the footprints and says, one of the lamb wouldn't drink, so I came over here and I saw these. Do you recognize them?
I don't think I've ever seen anything like this before. I mean, Look at the size. And she like holds her hand up beside it to kind of get a measure on it. Way too big to be any of our animals. And she'll call Skogul over too.
And he just goes, oh, so am I doing this or am I doing that?
She's
Shaela will move to finish his job.
He's confused about what's happening. He's annoyed that his chores have been interrupted. He looks at Shaela with just like a what the fuck's going on look, and then he walks over to Siobhan.
She clicks her tongue and says, "Brother, look at this. Does it look familiar to you?"
What, is this a prank?
Hey, no. Open your eyes and look down.
Okay. He like looks around after inspecting the print. He goes, but where did it come from?
Yeah, where did it go also? Shaela said it was just this one.
This is a prank.
Not us.
Well, if it's not you, then why am I here being pranked?
Why are you so dead set on this being a prank?
This doesn't look like anything that we've ever seen made it.
I agree. And there's been other weird things going on this morning. Betty put out some thick milk. Shaela got a blue egg from Nettie.
Nettie and Betty.
Nettie and Betty.
Okay, so are you saying the ice minnows I didn't see today are also part of your weird conspiracy?
There were no ice minnows either. I think it's time we talk with Auntie.
This better not be a prank.
So, as they sort of leave the sheep tending area and Siobhan heads up onto the longhouse roof, Skogul heads over to, after collecting his water pails and bringing it up to the longhouse, he heads over to the fire pit. And the snow on the roof is, very heavy. Go ahead and roll a strength for me.
Yeah, I got a 9, so it's very heavy today.
It is very, very heavy, yeah. As you clear the snow, you find something stashed, sort of under the thatch there that's, a little bit rotted, a little bit saggy. What old toy of your siblings has been up here?
Shaela and I definitely put it up here, Frank and Skogul. As far as what it is, it's like a paper boat that Skogul made out of leather, and he was very excited to show it off, and the girls just like straight snatched it from him and were playing with it, and then they threw it up on the roof. And so she takes it and she stashes it.
As she, is sticking this boat into one of her pouches, she looks down and she sees that as Skogul splits open one of the, recent selections of firewood, this nest of tiny beetles just like scatters out all across your boots into the churned snow.
Once it explodes and he sees them going all over, he just figures the snow will take care of them, and then he tosses it onto the rest of the pile.
She goes and she gets each one of them separately, and you can see like this glimmer of excitement in her eye, and she just goes, "Shay, you ready?"
Always. Let's go get Skogul.
And she kind of dances over. "Oh, brother, it's time."
He finishes the chopping the last piece of wood, and he looks up at her and he just like hefts the axe on his on his belt, and he goes, "Yeah."
Shaela turns to Siobhan and she says, "Oh, he's more excited than he looks."
No, I don't know. I mean, Skogul kind of wears his feelings right there on his sleeve. So is he really excited?
I'm standing here, right?
She just kind of looks at him and then looks back to Shay.
I don't know. I think he's still salty from falling in the river last time.
Well, quick, before he sucks all of the energy out.
Can we pick a place without a river, maybe?
If you insist.
2 hours later, the triplets, stalk like ghosts across the plains. The day's snows up to your knees, and the dense, misty cloud cover sits low in the air above your heads. What is the order of the siblings here, and how are you positioned?
I have a strong feeling like they would put Skogul first to draw attention to whatever he might stumble into.
To track. So I'll retcon a little bit. So Siobhan does recognize that Skogul is better at tracking, and she'll give in that he has a way with animals and lulling them. Maybe she's kind of jealous about that, which is why she always tries to take one of the chores with the animals. to get better at it secretly. But yes, definitely pushing Skogul out front.
Well, as you guys are, sort of making your way across the plains here together, with Skogul out front scouting, ahead, a cluster of shrubs trembles, betraying the giant snow hare's long white ears. Your eyes narrow on two of the giant hares, which are almost barely distinguishable from the snow itself. The hares raise their heads, and their noses are twitching as they sniff the air. Everybody roll a group nature check to see if the three of you approach downwind.
And see, this right here, this proves it, that Skogul is the only one who actually knows what he's doing when it comes to tracking.
Yeah. So today you are downwind, because the last time you tried this part of the plains, you weren't. So you lost the giant hares as they easily left you in their snow dust. So, how would the three of you like to attempt to initiate a perfect hunting maneuver here so you can return to camp, bolstering to your aunt's followers?
Yeah, so I think as Skogul approaches up the hill, he's just making very careful, deft movements. And then he does that symbol that we've seen so many times. He points to his eyes, and then he points to the hares, just to confirm that they can see them.
Siobhan gives a nod. I think they definitely would have developed their own kind of triplet language.
For sure.
And I think it would definitely include some hand motions. So she'll take her right fist and she'll move it back and forth in front of her, indicating for them to flank on either side. Sick.
Yeah, so upon hearing that, or upon seeing that visual, Skogul is going to try and get as high as he can over yonder to get a line of sight. And what he's aiming to do is shoot the one furthest away so that when they all scatter, there's an obstacle.
Go ahead and roll a stealth for me, please, with advantage. And where will Shaela and Siobhan be moving to?
Siobhan is going to be kind of in the middle. She's going to be creeping up right here, close to the choke point, to essentially try and get them as they run.
Okay.
Yeah, and Shayla's gonna come up on the other side, opposite of Skogul, so that if, she thinks she can pick this one off, and maybe this one when they start going, but she knows that Skogul's gonna take the first shot.
This is a great callback to the Etten scene, by the way.
So you said Skogul's taking the first shot?
Yeah, and I'll definitely aim for this guy.
What does he do to initiate this instance here?
Yeah, after getting into the flanking, knowing that her expectation is not to tell him what to do, he stands up and he knocks his bow, he draws the string, and he looks at her.
Because Shayla can aim at this one if he's aiming at this one, and then because his plan was trying to get someone in the way, and then Siobhan can try to take out either the closer one or this one in the middle, maybe block this guy off, and it's gonna kind of block this guy off. This one might get away though.
So
get a head start, I guess.
So we need to beat a 13 armor class for our rangers here.
Wow.
Siobhan gives a glance over at Shaela to make sure she's in position, looks back over at Skogul and gives the affirmative action.
And loose.
Oh my god!
Damn, Skogul.
This is great.
This is 13, right?
What gratification is that?
Wow. Skogul, go ahead with that natural 20. First roll of your flashback. Go ahead and hit that crit damage button for me. See how much damage we do. Now, hold on.
Oh wait, I didn't press mine. Sorry.
Before we lock that into canon, a couple weeks ago, I pitched an idea to all of you guys of a way that we could tweak the natural 20s. We can still do. I want to give you guys the option. When you roll a natural 20, you can choose to do one of two things. You can either roll the crit damage and double it, so in this instance that would be 14 damage, or you could roll a new attack, and if you succeed, continue rolling until you fail.
Amazing. it means it takes the base damage, not double.
So you either do your double damage, which is 20, or you roll again and you take the just regular base damage, no double, no crit, nothing. But if you succeed on this next one, you can keep attacking every time you succeed over and over. So you might get less than 20 damage, or you could do like 50 damage.
Yeah, I think my instinct is Skogul wants to make sure that this thing doesn't suffer. So what's 20 damage do to its HP?
It's still alive.
All right, so are we taking the base 10 crit, or do I have to roll normal damage?
You're taking the 10, and then you just
10.
roll again.
Let's try it. Rolling for attack, not damage.
Yep,
right?
rolling for attack.
Okay. It's 21.
Okay, so that's another hit. So roll your damage.
Okay.
And that's 18 damage. Roll another attack.
Here we go. 13 still passes.
That's a hit. Roll damage. 18
5
damage. So that's 23 damage. Roll again.
Oh my god. Oh, he failed.
Okay, so that's a 1. So you're done. You did 23 damage. So see, you got 3 more than you would have gotten. So
Good point.
all right, so it is still alive, but you sunk, what was that, 4 arrows?
1, 2, 3, 4. Yep.
Yeah, so in a matter of like just seconds, because of that natural 20, Skogul was like, boom, 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 unleashed 4 arrows. Now here's the thing. Do you want all 4 of those arrows to hit that one hair, or do you want to have hit a couple different ones?
You know what? Let's spread the love.
They each have 25 hit points.
So he's going to do 2 into this one, and they'll be the first 2, because he wants that one to make noise and scare all the rest of them.
So that one's down to 7 hit points.
And then this one, and then this one, just to make sure that they don't know where it's coming from, and they're going to probably pick a direction to flee now.
Okay, so the first one takes
10 damage.
Is down to 15. The second one is down
Takes
to
8.
17, and then the
And then the last one takes 5.
third one is down to 20. Okay.
Okay.
So, Haley, please roll your damage.
I got 9.
Okay, your damage, and you hit.
This one.
Okay, a 4th one that he did not hit. Okay. All right. So as that happens, Siobhan still gets a turn here.
Yeah, can I get a sense on which way they're probably going to run?
Roll a nature for me.
Cool.
It's hard to say because there's so many of them, but you can tell that at the very least, this one is very likely to be headed back towards your direction. Now, let's go ahead and roll initiative because it is about that time. So it goes. Here's Siobhan, Shaela, Skogul. So these upper hairs that you wounded, let me take a look at their movement here. These things can move. So they have a 50 speed. So the ones that you shot, Steve, these 2 top ones up here, you see them, instead of fleeing away from the plains, they like dip down into the like snowy foliage and just start burrowing. And you see both of these guys go down beneath the plains, underneath the snow, after creating these tunnels. And you know from like hunting giant hares in the past that these things pretty much like max out about 20 feet down into the ground inside of these little cave burrows. This one that Shaela fired at is going to do the same thing. Burrows. Immediately heads down into the ground. A couple rocks sort of like tumble in after this one because it's closer to the rock wall there. This one closest to Siobhan bursts forward. Let me go ahead and roll a perception to see if it notices her. Go ahead and roll a stealth, and we will see whose is higher.
Roll C's.
Okay, the giant snow hare instantly notices Siobhan and attempts to leap over you to clear your head and get past you. It's going to do an acrobatics if you would like to do an athletics to see if you can stop it from getting away.
Okay. Oh, that's a 21.
And that's a 7. So please describe how in this moment, Siobhan at least stops the hare from moving forward.
So she's probably working with her 2-handed quarterstaff And so as it goes to jump over her, it gets just above her head before she's able to take her quarterstaff and just kind of knock it down to the ground.
And when that happens, it bites at her. With a 22, that is a successful hit. And this bite on Siobhan does 8 damage. As a barbarian, though, you take half of that. Then it is going to be these last 2 hairs. This one is going to... So it can move 50 feet, so 5, 10, 40, 45, 50. This hair gets all the way down to here, while this hair goes all the way up to here. And it is now Siobhan's turn.
So now that she's got this hair in front of her, she's going to She's going to go ahead and take a strike at it. A 19.
That is a success.
Ooh.
Yeah, she's also going to put a frost chill on it. When you hit a target with attack, you can also deal 1d6 fall damage and reduce the speed by 10 feet till the start of your next turn for an extra 4 damage.
Okay. Yeah, that's a very, very strong hit that she puts on this frost hair. Definitely sort of knocking it back a little bit after this vicious bite that it just put in on her. It's Shayla's turn.
She's going to cast Hunter's Mark as her bonus action. She's going to run up to this one and try to grab it with an unarmed strike.
So that one is down in a burrow. So do you climb down into the burrow behind it?
Oh, see, I thought it had just climbed under the snow. Okay, then yeah, she's gonna have to try to get down in there. What would that be?
It's definitely going to be an athletics to sort of like push your way down into this barrow here.
Right before she does that, she's gonna get her dagger in her hand.
Okay.
And then go face down towards it. So athletics. Ooh, she too. Good God.
This was an adolescent, so it's even smaller than usual. These things are usually about the size of large dogs. So this one is a medium-sized dog. Shaela has a hard time, getting down in there.
Can she use her tinderbox to try to like smoke it out?
Go for it. How does she do that?
Well, I mean, one of her actions, I guess, is she's got the light torch action. So... Oh, I also have, so the container holds flint, fire, steel, and tinder. Used to light a torch. Using it to light a torch or anything else with abundant exposed fuel takes an action. Lighting any other fire takes 1 minute. Oh, so this is going to be a hot minute. But she could still begin to light a torch to try to smoke it out. She's foxing the hounding it. So, yeah, she's going to light her tinder because she's standing near this green stuff. So she's gathering it as fast as she can. And she starts a fire.
I would definitely
survival.
Yeah, survival for sure. Go ahead and give me a nature. Just either survival or nature works.
Let's try nature.
So Shayla's having a tough moment here. She saw them burrow down, and she, put her bow away, pulled her dagger out, rushed over to try to dive down into it, realized that the hole was just too small, and got frustrated and pulled out a tinderbox to just start lighting all of these rabbits on fire. And, even though the brush is dry, the air is very moist. So as you're trying to strike this tinderbox and this flint, it's just like... And it's now Skogul's turn.
Yeah, I think Skogul, being pretty torn between the 2 hairs that have run away, he decides to point his bow at this guy. Yeah, he's got a hunter's mark it. And then, all right, 16.
That's a hit. You needed a 13.
Damage, 4, and then hunter's mark. All right, 8.
Okay, so then that brings that one down to 5. It is now the hare's turns. This one flees around a corner, off the table, out of the bend. This one up here flees around the corner, off the table, out of the bend. This one, I think this one's going to try and flee. Opening up for an opportunity attack, it's going to try to get past Siobhan and Skull headed south. So go ahead and roll your attack, Siobhan.
19.
Very much a hit. Takes that damage, but keeps on moving. So we got 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and it is gone.
Well, she's pissed that the one got away, and she chides Skogul. You should have shot the one that I was fighting. We could have at least had one. Let's get over here and help Shay. You have a lot to make up for.
He like sheathes his bow and he like just grabs this branch near him and he just yanks it out of the wall.
And they walk over to Shay, and they're gonna help her get the fire going.
Yeah, Skogul
Shay's
goes,
like,
there's no way for them to go. They have to come up.
Shayla's like, I hit it with my bow, and then it got down under. It's down there. I mean, look, and she like points like the tiny blood trail. She's like, I mean, at least I freaking hit it. Ugh. She's like ripping like shrubbery apart to try to get more, and then she like points to a spot that like could be where they potentially like pop out, like because she knows that they came in, and so she like points like in this direction. And she's like, someone go see if they pop up over there.
And when you do that, everybody roll perception for me. Okay, Skogul, you see that this one up here has popped its head up and is looks as if it is about to come back up out onto the thing to try and flee, as if like it thinks it has space to do so. Siobhan, go ahead and roll either a survival or a nature check to try and help your sister here.
Survival or nature? 0 or -1. Let's go survival. I'm real fucking flustered that Skogul didn't hone in on just one. So she's probably venting about that to Shay as they're like gathering and they keep trying to like spark these tinders.
Go ahead and roll another nature or survival check here for me to try to get this burning.
She is just
God.
like, you know how when you like are just like striking the flint like too hard, like so sparks are flying but like it is not catching, and she's getting angrier and angrier, and I think it's close to breaking.
Okay.
Like there's no zen in her body at all. She's just furious.
And as her sisters are like having emotional breakdowns over trying to burn this rabbit out of its hole, it's Skogul's turn. So what would you like to do here as you see this giant hair sticking its head up out of the burrow here?
He realizes that the tinderbox and the noise of them coming over has probably given them, the hares, a reason to run again. So after Shaela points to that spot and he looks over and sees the hare poke his head out, he completely ignores his sisters and moves to try and capture this hare.
Roll what you need to roll.
So yeah, this like bushy thing he ripped out of the wall, kind of in rage, he's realizing might be an opportunity to create a little trap for this thing. So to try and trap it, which is, I guess, a grapple or an athletics. What do you think?
How is he trying to trap it?
Its head popping out, so he's just going to try and make sure it can't get out, basically.
So that would definitely be either an acrobatics or an athletics to get over there before it can get out of the hole.
Okay, I mean, both of those are pretty good for him. I feel like acrobatics. 16.
Shaela and Siobhan just watches Skogul just sort of rushes over and like jumps down onto this hole with this like wooden branch that he's like stripped off.
Yeah, I think as soon as he sees its head pop up, he reacts almost on instinct and just dives to make sure that the thing can't get away from him. He knows it took a lot of damage, so he's like, this is our best chance. If they'll help me, this is our best shot.
As that happens, this third rabbit bursts free from its burrow and is going to go ahead and make a move to run. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. And it is now Siobhan's turn again as she sees Skogul do that and then the other rabbit just bounce.
She's gonna shift her focus and go to help Skogul. And he's got it, right? Like she could take a hit at it.
It's not grappled. He's just like covered the hole. It's in the same
exactly.
position as the same. It's the same thing with Shaela. It's just that she's trying to burn it out and Skogul has like stopped this one from leaving.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm so torn on who do I help?
I haven't been as invested in like a simple rabbit hunt ever in my life before.
yeah, there's like politics involved.
Yeah, I think she's too focused on being angry at Skogul
Okay.
that she just wants to be like, oh, fine, I'll do it myself.
Okay.
And she's got more faith that Shaela can handle her hair. So she's gonna try and go in after this rabbit.
Into the hole that he's at?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and please roll a either an acrobatics or an athletics here to squeeze yourself down in here. Okay.
So 9 do it.
So you needed a 10. So go ahead and walk me through how she pushes him aside to try to squeeze herself in then and can't fit.
I mean, it's just as simple as that. She goes, you can't even do this. And she pushes him out of the way, and she like starts to like shove her arm down in there and try to get in.
It goes 20 feet down. It's too deep for you to find this rabbit. It is now Shayla's turn.
Do I need to roll to see if I saw that this one up here ran?
No, everyone saw it.
Okay, she's gonna hunter's mark it and try to get that one at least with her longbow.
Okay.
She's so mad.
Okay.
So 1d6 if I hit it. So she's gonna try to get that one with her longbow. 23.
That's a hit. That is a hit.
Wow, really good at range.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she got 9 and then 1d6. Oh my
Oh, yeah.
god.
Okay.
Son of a bitch.
So that one is down to 5 hit points.
10.
It is now Skogul's turn.
Skogul, having been pushed off the hole, is just fucking so annoyed. And then he sees an arrow just go right over his head. And then that draws his attention to this other rabbit. And he looses his bow. 17.
That's a hit.
And 9.
Describe how this arrow that Skogul fires, not Shaela, kills the giant hare.
I think seeing that Shaela was up to task, it kind of woke him out of his rage at his sister. And then as he sees the bow fly over, hit the rabbit, but it's still booking it. He goes, "Fucking just bitch!" And then he just, once he lets that bow loose, it like all of his rage is filled in the tip of that, and he hears the rabbit go, and it just stops dead in its tracks.
The arrow fired by Shaela hit moments before, inches away from the kill shot. So we have 2 rounds left before these 2 burrow raptors can head even deeper. It is now Siobhan's turn.
And you said that they're the size of like medium-sized dogs.
Yeah.
She's gonna keep trying to go after this one with another athletics check.
Okay.
No.
Okay, yeah.
God,
It's just it's tight. This one is tight. It's big, but you're having a hard time pushing yourself down in there. Shaela, what about you? Where are you at right now here with this?
I don't even know because she just shot it and then Skogul took it all the way down. So she's like she's just feeling like, okay, well, at least we have one. But she's going to grit her teeth and continue to try to, she's still trying to start the fire. It's like one of those just like spite things now at this point. 18.
Okay, so she very successfully brushes away the like snow and the dirt and the mud and the rocks and like drops down into this hole that, is wide enough for her to drag herself through on her arms, her elbows. Her bow she would have had to have left behind on the ground above, as I suppose she has her dagger in her teeth. And this tunnel moves essentially feet over here, but you're down. You're like down underneath the earth about 10 feet as well. When you get down there, you see that the rabbit has its back to you, and it's just digging, and it looks over and sees you coming. Skogul, it's your turn.
Skogul, after seeing Shaela get down there successfully, he puts his knife in his teeth and he just tries to dive into the hole that Siobhan is fucking with.
Okay, try to beat a 10.
Oh.
So, like, Siobhan, your brother, after, firing and killing this other hare, is essentially trying to get into the same hole that you are and also failing, which brings it around to 1 round left until these 2 hares can dig further. And it is Siobhan's turn.
I feel like they're kind of like trying to push each other aside, and it's very much the sibling rivalry of no, I'm gonna do it, no, I'm gonna do it, no, I'm gonna do it, get out of my way. And she's just gonna keep trying to push herself into this hole, and she fucking finally does it.
Hell yeah.
She says, "This is how it's fucking done," as she goes down.
Which, again, 10 feet further down and 10 feet ahead of you, and she sees the same thing that Shaela saw. The giant hare is in front of you, digging, trying to tear its way through to like get further, and it kind of looks over and sees you coming. And Skogul, now, as both of your sisters have now descended down beneath the earth, it is your turn.
Yeah, I think Skogul, after seeing them both go in, once he sees Siobhan slipping in the hole, he goes, I widened it for you. He takes a step back and he holds his bow and he's just like looking over the position where both of them just were, waiting to see if a hair will pop out.
Okay, so you're holding your action for that. At this point, both of the hares are cornered. Both of the hares are forced to stop digging as they turn around to face their predators. Siobhan, it is your turn.
Realistically, she can't get her quarterstaff two-handed down there. Could she get her quarterstaff one-handed down there?
She carried her staff down there with her, and she's got it by her side, and she slides it up. Her hand, lets go slightly of the grip, and it slides forward, and then she regrips it further down, and then just jabs it forward to try to, smack the hare in its face. The hare, dips down and, spins around to face her, and it is now Shayla's turn.
Shayla's gonna try to get it with her dagger.
You got a 13. Go ahead and roll your damage as you grab this dog-sized snow hare. All right. So then this one is going to drop down to 12 hit points.
Okay, with the 4.
It's to 10 hit points.
Okay. And yeah, she's gonna try to drag it with her back out of the hole.
Roll a strength check for me. I'll do a opposed strength check.
Oof, she got a 2.
The giant snow hare got a 15. So she tries to grab a hold of it, but it definitely is thrashing. I mean, this thing is chaos down in this hole right here. It's Skogul's turn. You are standing 10 feet above your sisters. The plains are quiet, except for the dulled, muffled screeching of the two giant snow hares 10 feet beneath your feet as you hear both of your sisters cursing, shouting, furious and enraged.
He's just pointing his longbow at both of the holes. He goes back and forth, trying to understand which one needs help. What's taking so long?
It is now the rabbit's turns. Both of you are getting bit. Shayla's tunnel first because that one is more chaotic. This one is going to do a bite on Shaela. That is a hit with an 18.
Jesus.
We are going to do 12 damage on Shaela.
That's all of her hit points.
So as Shaela climbs down into this hole to try to grab this cornered giant hare, she reaches back on her hip and her dagger's missing. So she uses her
just her fists
to try to
she
grab.
just went to grab it. Yeah,
and so the reason why you failed at grabbing it is because as you try to grab it, this furious snow hare just starts viciously biting you. And please go ahead and drop down to 0 hit points and roll your death save for me, please.
Oh my god.
20.
Wow.
Through her force of will, she's fucking furious even as she goes down.
Yeah.
Fucking bunny.
You are at 1 hit point, and you are your anger is peaking. The second rabbit is going to also attempt to bite Siobhan and essentially kill you because you have followed it down into its burrow.
Oof.
That is going to be a miss with a 7. It is now Siobhan's turn.
Does she feel the sibling pang of? Was it a brief moment of unconsciousness?
She would have screamed. Shayla's not being quiet.
You would have definitely heard a scream of agony.
Okay, then Siobhan immediately disengages and comes out of the burrow. She's gonna go and pull Shaela out.
So Skogul watches as Siobhan climbs up out of the burrow. Does she say anything to him as she just sprints over and then attempts to dive into this other burrow?
No, he should know.
He's just thinking to himself, wait, we gave it up?
Please roll a acrobatics or an athletics to dive down into the second burrow.
14?
That is very much a success. So Skogul watches as Siobhan just pops her head up out of one burrow, sprints past him, and then just dives down into the second burrow with ease. Shaela, you, after being viciously mauled by this giant snow hare that you tried to grapple, you hear this just scuffle behind you as your sister just drops down into the hole and rolls up behind you.
Yeah, she's not gonna try to keep fighting it, because if it hits her again, she's gonna die. So she's gonna disengage and drag herself over and point back to it and say, "That thing almost fucking killed me!" And then try to climb up the hole.
Go ahead and roll either an acrobatics or an athletics for me. Yeah, very much successfully. Like, Skogul, you hear rustling behind you, and instead of Siobhan coming up out of the hole, it is a bleeding Shaela.
He's kind of shocked to see her covered in blood, and again, no hair. But he figures they have it, and he moves over to the burrow, and he makes sure that he's prepped for this thing to run.
So, like, as you're going, it comes out. It pops out of the thing, and it starts to run. You have a free attack as it does so.
Let's do it. All right, here we go. All right, 23.
Very much a hit.
Damage, 4.
Do you have Hunter's Mark still going?
We got an 8.
Okay.
No, 7.
Yep. Now you have your regular attack.
21, wow.
That is a hit.
8.
So, please describe how Skogul takes down the second hare attempting to flee.
Seeing Shaela covered in blood was alarming to him, and now he feels some sort of vengeance towards these hares. And as soon as he sees this one run, he doesn't even hesitate. And then it drops.
The third hare is going to attack Siobhan. It is going to try and bite her because, again, you are down in its barrow, and it was trying to flee, and you came down there, so it's going to protect itself. It's cornered. That is a hit with a 22. You take half of 8, which is 4. It is now Siobhan's turn.
All right. She is going to disengage and come out of the burrow.
Hell yeah.
And she is also pretty bloodied, not as bad as Shaela.
And as you do so, you see that there's another dead rabbit laying on the field, roughly, 50 yards away. And Shaela and Skogul are standing there.
Oh, she doesn't even care about the rabbits. She's going to start digging into Skogul. You heard the scream of your sister and you didn't even come to help.
You saw how I was trying to fit into 2 holes. How am I supposed to get down there after her?
You didn't even try. You could have at least tried.
Oh, so I'm supposed to do all the work. I'm supposed to bring all the quarry. I'm supposed to help all my sisters when they're hurt. What are you going to do if I do everything?
It's not you doing all the work. It's you looking out for your family. All you had to do is try and help her, Skogul. I can't believe you'd be so selfish to think so much of yourself that all the work gets put on you.
He just glares at her, and he doesn't even know how to articulate. He's like, I'm the only one with kills, but it's not coming out of his brain. So as Skogul's struggling to figure out what to say, he stops himself and goes, Shaela, are you okay?
Shaela is not okay. She's bleeding from just deep bites all over her body, and she's pissed, but she's not really mad at Skogul. She's just mad that that just went south so fast. So she kind of takes a second to look around, and she's like, guys, both of you just shut up. And she plops down on the ground and starts to try to look through her bag so that she can patch herself up a little bit. And she's gonna try to cure some of her, heal herself just a little bit.
Heck yeah. Solid 9 hit points back with some poultices learned by your aunt.
So she's feeling much better after that, and she kind of shakes her head and is kind of using the snow to wipe some of the blood off of herself.
Sick.
And she says to Siobhan, he couldn't have fit down there anyways. Look at the size of that hole. And she points, and it's even kind of a miracle that either she or Shaela even got down it in the first place. And looks at Skogul, and to try to break the tension a little bit, she says, you stole my kill.
And I might steal another one if it's still coming out. And he holds his bow at the last hole.
Siobhan pushes bow away and says, "The fight's over, brother. Let's get the rabbits and go."
And then he just says under his breath as he like sheaths his bow, and he goes, "Yeah, the ones I got."
So, who gathers these two roughly 60-pound giant hares?
I have a feeling that they would probably be in their own heads at this point, and Skogul definitely just like uses the silence to go to the furthest one away.
Shaela is gonna like pat Siobhan on the back and say, "Thanks for coming to get me."
She like puts her forehead to Shayla's and said, "Anytime, sister. You know how much I love you." And then she goes and gets the other rabbit, not letting Shaela help since she was injured so badly.
And Shayla's gonna take that, like she doesn't mind, but she doesn't have to heft that giant thing back that she didn't even get to take down herself. But she'll gather her longbow, which had been abandoned when she went down the hole, and try to like scuff the snow back in place where she had been furiously trying to start that fire, and covering some of their tracks a little bit, and then she falls in line behind them.
An hour later, the midday sun drifts behind the clouds like a sleepwalker. In the space out front of the cottage, the fire pit smolders and smokes, curling up against the blue and gray sky. The flames are low, fed by dry, twisted roots that Mungan collect. Skogul and Siobhan kneel near the fire, a giant snow hare stretched between them on a stone. Its eyes are cloudy now, but Skogul remembers how they sparked just before the final shot landed. You pull out a skinning blade from your pouch. It has a bone handle and is wrapped tight with the sinew of a bull seal. Across from you, Siobhan holds the hare's legs. She pulls the fur back with steady, measured hands to reveal the pink flesh beneath. Both of you please roll survival for me.
It's funny seeing survivals that aren't about like literally surviving.
So, yep, you guys beat the combined total that you needed. So then it is going to be, so once the fur is removed, who begins to clean it between the two of you, and who starts to cut the meat into strips for the smoker? Walk me through how the two of you do this. Here as you've got these two giant snow hares.
I have a feeling this will be one of the rare moments where we're like in complete synchronicity. I feel like there's going to be like a kinship of respecting and pulling the meat apart. And also Skogul is going to cut off one of the hare's feet to give to Shaela for good luck. The one that she initially hit.
Yeah, I feel like they've done this enough times that it's very practiced.
And like he doesn't even elbow her or anything. He does it like meticulous ritual in a way of almost respecting the animal and respecting his family as a result.
Sitting on a nearby stump, Shaela drops a chunk of the hare's fat into the glowing hot stone tallow pot with a wet plop, watching it hiss and melt away. Her hands are stained with blood up to the wrists, and she picks up a carved stick to dip in and stir the liquefying fat. Beside her, a bundle of old wick candle molds await filling. She dips one of the wicks slowly and patiently, knowing that each layer has to cool before the next layer's on.
Siobhan would want to talk about the battle now that she's less angry, like it's just kind of all subsided. You spread yourself too thin, brother.
Upon hearing that, Skogul's like chopping some of the meat into nice little bits. Sometimes I just don't know what to do.
You got 2 good kills this time. I mean, we could have had more, but this got kind of bad, you know? I really think that we just need to focus in on it more. Stick together, work together. The 3 of us, and she kind of nudges him.
Hey, we did everything you said from last time, and it mostly worked. I think the holes were a little bit of a mistake on everyone's part.
We definitely got too caught up on the holes, but your first shots could have been better grouped together.
How many did you get?
I could have gotten 1 had you focused on the one that was with me instead of the one that was running off. It was already gone.
Uh-huh. So Just remind me again, what's the kill count?
She like picks up her skinning knife and like kind of waggles it in front of his face. And sometimes it's not about the kill, but how well you work together.
What book did you read that out of?
It's just like, what? What do you mean, what book?
Right, you can't read. I remember.
She kind of shoves him away.
Don't worry, even though I got both of them, I'll definitely share some meat with you guys.
Oh, I'll share some meat with you. Uh-huh. So she goes back to cleaning.
He chuckles.
Just sitting nearby, Shaela has made dozens of candles in her life. You know, she's sitting there listening to them giggling. And what small, meaningful symbol does she carve into the base of each one? Does she ever say why? And what are her favorite molds that they've made over the years to put these candles into?
Gosh. The symbol is a vertical line, and then it's 3 lines sticking like a V and then one shooting up through the middle. But they don't cross over the vertical line on the bottom. And then there's like a circle around the whole thing. It feels very much like the line on the bottom is like the stability of their mother, and then each line in the symbol represents one of them, and then the circle around it is the protection of their aunt. But she doesn't share that with people. I mean, it's a little bit obvious if you sat and thought about it for a minute, but it's not like she talks about it. And the molds that they have, there are definitely ones that look like different types of, like there's one, I mean, they probably don't have a ton of flowering plants, but there must be at least one like hardy winter flowering plant that they pour into. I would say that they probably, somebody did at some point make a rabbit mold, and so she always finds it kind of funny and ironic to use the pieces from the bunnies to make like a teeny tiny little candle that looks like a bunny. But a lot of them are just spheres, or sorry, not spheres, cylinders of varying size, because she finds those to be the closest to, for some reason, she just feels like those just give off a more like ceremonial aspect. But yeah, she freaking loves candle making. It's her favorite thing to do.
She's just like out here making these candles
Constantly.
So
It's the only reason she went out with them. No, I'm kidding.
No, yeah. Everybody please roll perception for me.
Oh, goodness gracious. She's busy.
Look at that, nat 20.
Shayla's too focused.
So both Skogul and Siobhan notice this, but Shaela is like locked into making these candles. From the entrance of the camp, you hear the grind of these wooden wheels. These two huge, massive, empty wheelbarrows roll slowly down the slope toward the compound. Pushing them are Leif and Thursdev, followed by Vigal and Navaldi, returning from another pointless foraging expedition. Each of them towers over the group of you by almost 12 feet as they pass by, rolling the massive wheelbarrow. When Leif sees you, he's already grinning in his usual cracked, lipless leer. His skin is mottled with old burns, and his hands never stop twitching and drumming across the wheelbarrow handles as he goes,
By the bones, is that hair I smell?
and he sniffs the air dramatically and then adds,
Sharp work, little shards. Very sharp work.
beside him, Thursdiv Smoke Eye looks at the smoke ring firing or raising above the fire pit, and he goes,
Zun was walking beside your shadows this morning. I saw him in the snow. This feast was promised.
and then like third to arrive, Vigal the Fool looks down at Shayla's candle molds and then looks over to the hair.
Can I eat the eyes?
I mean, sure, that's really a Skogul since traditionally.
He just like grabs like the eyes that have just been like sort of like set over to the side and just like pops both of them in his mouth like grapes. Navaldi the Brotherless walks up slowly. He doesn't speak until he reaches the fire, and even then it's almost this whisper as he just looks up and says,
You've marked the day with a kill. Grace be to the chosen.
Then Skogul like looks up and he's just like, yeah, grace be.
And none of you particularly flinch when he calls you chosen. I mean, you've been called that since you were babies. Whether you believe it or not, that's another matter. So the 4 giants circle loosely around the fire pit, not getting too close. They're all very reverential to the 3 of you, which is rare for your kind. They don't ask for permission to sit, though. They just simply stop moving and rest their weight on these just massive stumps that are layered out around you and this sort of central fire pit in the middle of this compound.
So Skogul, they're the only masculine presence he interacts with, so in a way he sees them all as like older brothers and uncles, rough around the edges and all.
And Leaf was who asked for the eyeballs.
Yes.
He probably creeps Siobhan out the most. And it's just a little bit uneasy, right? Because there's always somebody who's a little bit unhinged.
Leif kind of came here seeking survival. Thurstiv came here for redemption. Vigal pines for Skalva's love, which is never given. And Nivaldi, as far as you know, is a true believer. And is sort of her second-hand guy.
Yeah, she probably has the most connection with Nivaldi, especially if he's like the right-hand man. But definitely she is uneasy around Leif.
Shaela, it's the same as the snow giants. Like, she follows her aunt's lead. So, you know, a lifetime of watching how she treats them is she's probably trying to like copycat. But I think that she also trusts Siobhan's instincts, and so she definitely gravitates more towards Nivaldi and maybe even Thurstiv. But Leaf is hard to not be weirded out by, I think. But she tries to be respectful and like dignified, because she 100% buys into the we are the chosen. So she's not goofing around in front of them. She tries to be very pious in front of them.
And on that note, Leaf scratches the side of his jaw with one cracked fingernail and he goes,
We walked the Bone Wind Trail twice over. Same as yesterday. Same as the day before. Not even frost nettle out there now. Just more goddamned plain grass.
He like spits into the snow beside him and says,
Dry as ash and bitter as old teeth.
Thursdiv nods and stares into the fire as Leif continues and says,
It's been over a month. No wintercress, no stonewort, no bloodvine, not even thimbleleaf.
He looks at Shaela as she pours another layer of tallow into her candle mold. Across, Nivaldi lifts his gaze up towards the hermit hut at the far edge of the compound and says,
Has your Skullmuther awoken yet?
Shaela will say she has not emerged yet.
Pious. Fucking nerd.
Nerd.
Is he saying that under his breath?
No, that's inner monologue commentary.
In their triplet language, Siobhan does another hand gesture. On her non-dominant hand, she crosses her ring finger over her pinky and like waves it up and down. She's holding back a snicker as she's like looking over at Skogul.
With the slightest of up tilt of the corner of his mouth, he sort of smirk.
As he's smirking at his sisters, Nivaldi says,
We brought no roots, no meat, no vine, but the wind whispers on the plains, and with it comes a change. One of you must wake her. She'll want to know what stirs.
Shaela will do it. She'll stand and she wipes her hands off, looks at the other two, but doesn't say anything, and then just walks off towards, did you say the hermit hut?
Mm-hmm. As she goes, do her siblings say anything behind her back?
No.
Yeah, I definitely do a little bit of an eye roll.
You do an eye roll?
Yeah, he rolls his eyes, but only so Siobhan can see.
And Shaela, you pause briefly at the doorway to your aunt's cabin. You push the hide away and step inside, where the shadows are broken really only sort of by the glow of embers sparking up from a sunken fire pit. The air in here smells like blood. Your eyes adjust slowly, revealing a bedlam of talismans and occult fetishes hanging from the ceiling. No different than the protection hexes hanging above you and your siblings' beds. On your right, you pass by shelves built into the hut's walls, which are overflowing with jars, urns, and baskets filled with roots and bones and fungi and colorful murky liquids, all sealed up in little bottles stoppered with clay. Some of the jars have strange shapes floating within. The back wall is dominated by a broad altar stone. Candles glitter weakly atop it, casting dancing shadows onto a grotesque yet strangely elegant arrangement of animal skulls, each painted intricately with blue runes. They stare back blankly from empty eye sockets, watching you as you move across the room. Your towering frost giant aunt, Skalva Wildstone, kneels before the altar stone, silhouetted against the candles. Even kneeling, she just is way bigger than you, and you see that her blue skin is just crisscrossed with old scars. Her hair is black, just like yours, thick and wild, and cascades down these powerful shoulders that heave with every breath. A heavy antler crown fashioned from the rack of a massive tundra elk on her head, and raven feathers and braids hang loosely from its points. Around her neck, she wears multiple strings of bone beads, animal teeth, polished stones. Dark blue and black dye is smeared over her eyes and forehead, running in streaks down to her chin. She wears a rough-hewn leather tunic, sleeveless, leaving her scar-lined arms fully exposed. You see tattoos of protective runes and carvings spiraling down her forearms and around her wrists, inked in deep blues and charcoal grays. Her wrists themselves are wrapped in these sort of strips of tattered, rune-inked cloth, stained dark red from repeated rituals. Her fingertips are smeared with blue dye that she uses in her ceremonies to the point where they're almost purple. She wears a long skirt of overlapping hide strips, ragged and torn at all of their little hems, and small charms and tokens and talismans dangle from the skirt's hem, clinking and chiming softly as she shifts and moves. Her feet are bare. She's chanting softly, and she holds the head of a freshly severed dire wolf. Its fur is white, but stained red, still damp and glistening, and its lifeless, golden eyes stare empty up at the ceiling. Skalva's fingers tenderly stroke the fur between its ears. With deliberate care, she dips her fingers into a small clay pot, and then smears thick blue dye around the edges of the direwolf's lips and eyes, painting the animal's face gently, almost lovingly even. She finishes her chant when she notices you. She says, "Ah, child, come sit with me. This winter guardian gave his life while you and your siblings slept. His death will speak in my dreams." And she gestures towards the altar, where you now notice a row of 15 preserved wolf tongues carefully laid upon strips of bark. Holding up the head, she says, "This makes 16. Only days before your blood day under the moon-eyed circle. Zune is surely with us."
She takes a seat. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I come with news. There have been some odd omens today. First, the milk and the eggs came out odd, and there were some strange footprints in the sheep's pen. Your followers have just returned with word of strange things happening in the fields. She kind of looks down at her little, she's still got bandages on her hands. Skogul was the most successful today. He was the one who ultimately brought down the 2 hares that we were able to bring home. But those hares, they've become extremely vicious. They fight back in a way that I haven't seen before.
You say vicious, mother. She protects her children even more fiercely than I do. Sometimes, it seems.
He couldn't find any signs of any of the life of nature that we're accustomed to seeing.
She's just stroking the wolf's head.
They wouldn't share with us why I'm waking you. Nivaldi just said he had something important.
Anything that Nivaldi has important to say, he could say to you. But if my presence is required, then I will follow you. He gets up and heads after you and follows you outside and looks around, and she sees the followers and she says, "What if the gods were?" And Nivaldi bows his head and
The Wildstone tribe has returned in time for the Blood Moon, just as you said they would. They appear to have arrived within the last days and are camped at the edge of the Pale Ravine. Smoke from their fires fill the air, and their tents blot the southern plains. This latest expedition looks to have done our people well.
Skalva nods, and of course they have returned, just as the god Tears foretold. And she looks down at Skogul and Shaela and Siobhan and says, "The betrayers once again taint what is rightfully ours." You all remember sitting on a ridgeline 4 years ago, watching the sundering Wildstone frost giants marching north in their reaving caravan. Warriors claim what's theirs from those too small to stop them.
Yeah, I think there's a kind of a lingering tension. It's a feeling he can't really quite place, because to him, having been sundered from the Wildstone means that, this is his family. But in a way, he feels a calling or a drawing to these people, knowing that they're ultimately where they came from. But all that aside, he doesn't really know what to feel. He's got teenage hormones, and hearing that they're returning, he's not even sure what it means.
I think Siobhan would share that same pull that Skogul is feeling.
Shaela was wholeheartedly prepared just simply because she believes everything that Skalva prophesizes. So she's just kind of waiting to see how Skalva wants to approach their return, but she's not feeling any kind of pull to know these people.
And as she continues, she says, "We must stay true to the sanctity of our path and not allow ourselves to be distracted from outside." Leif shifts restlessly, and he's like,
Their store tents were what you would see in their dreams. They're bloated and ripe for the skill of a quick hand. We could take of their stores what we can come nightfall. Just some meat and grain, perhaps some smoked fish or dry lichen.
and beside him Vigil nods with a smile on his face, and Thursdiv says,
Their warriors look weary, careless after reaching their journey's end.
Leif adds,
Right, just enough to see us through to the blood.
and then Skalva holds up a palm and silences them. "You have stayed through hunger and exile. What we have bled and dreamed for is nearly upon us. Steel your hearts. I am as famished as the rest of you. We are close now. This land will soon become a wellspring of magic, as promised. For now, the gods demand our trust one final time, and we must be ready to give it." Thursdiv stands up and says,
The gods have our trust, Skullmuther. As to you, can you not see that this is a bounty delivered to us by the Prime Father here at our cliff's edge to push us on?
He points to his ribs, which you can see, and then down at Skogul and Shaela and Siobhan. All three of you are too skinny.
Said yourself, the moon will not bleed until the chosen have reaved their first bled. The children are of age and ready. Just as this bounty returns, I say,
And Skalva cuts him off and she says, "We do nothing. Since you doubt my sight, we shall seek the gods' wisdom together. Under the veil, we will ask the spirits with blood." And Thursdiv nods and says,
As you say, Skalva.
He and the other followers bow their heads, and Skalva looks towards the sky just as the gray clouds split and this beam of sunlight spills down onto all of you. "Prepare a kettle of mushroom tea for communion, and Leif, see it done properly this time." And she looks over at the others and says, "Thursdiv, Vigil, guide Mungen and Goshar to gather wood. Build us up higher, Panthus will see." And as her followers get up to attend their duties, Skalva looks down at the three of you. Her eyes soften just a fraction, and you each feel a sense of deep, unnerving calm. This woman raised you, and is the closest you've ever had to a mother. But she's always made it clear that she is not your mother. Wordlessly, she kneels and dips her hand into the nearby bucket filled with the dark, cooling blood of the giant snow hares. The liquid is thick and drips slowly onto the snow. Just as she does before every ritual, Skalva brushes her palm against your face. First Skogul, then Siobhan, then Shaela. The blood leaves heavy trails on your skin as she paints intricate, swirling sigils across your brows, down your cheeks, and beneath your jaws, continuing down your shoulders and arms. And she says, "Tell me, how do you three feel about this momentous return, this proof of our divine guidance, so soon before your blood day, on a blood moon for your 16th birthdays?"
I feel the chill and hope that we're ready.
Siobhan just gives a quick glance to each of her siblings and she says, "It's been foretold, and so it is."
Shaela exchanged the glances with the both of them. We are ready to meet our destiny.
Skalva smiles. She sees this in this endeavor, while Skogul, as he always has been, stands more on a bit of a timid, unsure edge. "I see your innocence still. You all understand what this means, right? Your mother's prophecy is set to breathe its last to this world. Her final promises again with us because of this. Because of the three of you."
Would that we could see her. I hope this prophecy is true.
For having hands stained with blood, her fingers finish drawing the last symbols along your wrists gently. And she leans forward and kisses all of you on the forehead and says, "Thank you for being you."
Shaela bows for that.
Skogul watches Shaela do that. He never feels comfortable with this stuff, but he just follows her.
Siobhan just kind of
With this curious need to visit the tribe that stole our name and cast us out, or do you stand firm and strong with your Skullmuther, ready to face the moon-eyed circle?
Siobhan pushes down that feeling of wanting because she knows that Skalva would not be okay with that. "We stand with you, Skullmuther."
We never break from Skullmuther.
You are our path forward.
Skalva speaks so often about this prophecy and your mother's promise. Do you believe in your hearts wholeheartedly, or do you have doubts that gnaw at your certainty?
I mean, I think the reason Skogul gets in so much trouble is because he kind of leads with doubt, when maybe he should just be quiet. I do think he's had visions of his mother in his dreams, and so I think to see that made real, there's like a hope in it that's under all the doubt. Maybe
Siobhan
she could
is-
set these sisters straight, you know?
At night, Skogul's like, "I can't wait to see you, Mother. When we bring
Yeah.
magic back to this land, and you walk through the snow-encrusted portal, here's a long list that I have of everything that
Grievances.
Shaela and Siobhan has done to me since I was a 5-year-old. Number 1, they like
Yeah.
that definitely happened when he was at least like 6 or 7. If you believe is up to you, but like Skalva believes and has been telling you that we're gonna bring her back. Her death happened and it was a horrible thing, but like we're gonna bring her back because she gave you guys the power to do so. It's just that A, B, and C have to happen before we can make that happen.
They actually have never lived a normal life, so what do they know what's fake and what's not, you know? So really his doubt is just driven by his own curiosity.
Shaela has no doubt in her heart. She is certain and full of faith.
I think Siobhan started out as blind faith, but as she grows older, she's becoming more skeptical. But she definitely keeps her mouth shut about it.
Do you think we have an inkling that you are skeptical?
I think Skogul would probably key into it more than she would let Shaela let on, because she knows that Shaela is full force into it.
So yeah, that means they have their own little secret with each other.
You know, it's actually just like what you guys were saying earlier, how the cliques come in and out, but there's like one that's dominant.
Yeah.
At that, we move forward a couple hours later in the day, beneath a night sky that ripples with a haunting dance of purple and red. The fire roars at the heart of Skalva's compound, and everyone circles rhythmically around it, dancing. In the silence of the plains, your voices rise and fall in chants. Vigal drinks from a large, battered metal tin, small enough for a giant's hand, yet absurdly oversized than any of yours. He passes it to Skalva, who drinks deeply before handing it off. Then Skogul, the cup is pressed into your hands. You feel the heavy, intoxicating, bitter drink burning gently as it slides down your throat.
I think it tastes like apprehension. Every time this happens, he's not stoked about it, but it's what we do, so he does it. It tastes like dirt and iron. I think he immediately hands it to Siobhan. Like, there's always a difference to that. He feels like he doesn't have to do that with Shaela.
And when he hands it to Siobhan, how deeply does she drink from this huge metal mug that you're holding? It's very heavy.
She kind of glances at him as she takes it, and both her hands she locks eyes with Shaela and takes a deep drink of it and passes it on to her.
Shaela takes it and looks into it as she drinks from it. She takes a pretty big gulp of it.
As she does that, Skalva pulls a bundle of dried herbs out from within her furs. The plants are stained with a dark resin. With a sharp flick of her wrist, she tosses the bundle into the heart of the fire, and it explodes and turns the fire into this shining blue blaze that's just like whoosh, as you watch this just wave of heat wash over you. From the shadows within the barn, the pair of snow giants watch your ritual with a sort of dull, entranced wonder. And Moon just smiles broadly, just gently clapping along with your ritual songs. And around you, joined in the dancing circle with your aunt, the followers lose themselves into the chant. Leif came here seeking survival and thirsted for redemption, and Vigal pines for Skalva's love. And Navaldi is a true believer. And he's got his staff, and he holds it high above his head and screams into the night. Drops it to the ground, and then reaches into the fire and picks up a flaming rock, allowing it to burn his palms until he drops it down into the snow and continues dancing. Skalva raises her arms and shouts, "Let our creators see your hearts, children! Open yourselves wide to the great and powerful spirits who walk within our land. Let them whisper to you and find you knowing." And her voice fades as the chant rises, and everyone starts dancing faster. As the blue flames burst to life, how do you feel?
Yeah, I think to Skogul, he's just trying to get the foot movements right as they go in this big circle. He's like, damn, I went on a fucking trip this time. As he's riding around the circle, his head goes down and then it goes up, and then he's starting to see things blend into each other, and he's not quite sure if he's next to Siobhan, if he's next to Shaela, if he's in the middle. It all feels like it's blending together in a way that he's used to at this point.
Siobhan has a firm grasp on at least one, if not both, of Shayla's hands at times. She is 100% using Shaela to ground herself.
I like that, because Shaela is completely surrendered. She is fully feeling all of this connection to the spiritual that she possibly can. She's seeking that understanding, and she's engaged. She did the buy-in, she's there.
Yeah.
So even Siobhan might be shimmering in and out of her sights of is it Siobhan? Is it a spirit? Is it Skogul? Is it Skalva?
Mom?
Is it their mom? Yeah, she's seeing all the ancestors. She's in it.
As you're chanting and dancing and moving around the pyre, what do you see or think you see in these just unnatural, glowing blue flames?
Skogul sees the shadows of great beasts. In front of him passes something that's winged. As he gazes into the flame, he sees a small silhouette form in it. It looks like it's taking on the form of a giant, but he can't be sure because every time he tries to get focus on it, they disappear or change into something else. So at one point, he looks over to Siobhan and he sees her holding Shayla's hands, and then they twist in front of him. And as they twist, he sees them look He thinks they're looking at him, but he can't be sure which one is which. It seems like their faces are merging, and he can't actually tell them apart. And he feels himself being drawn to that, not knowing whether or not they're actually three separate people or one.
Amazing.
I think when Shayla's looking into the flames, kind of her mind is playing tricks on her. She's thinking about the footprints that she saw earlier and maybe seeing this kind of shadow giant form, but it's faceless and it's almost shapeless. She can see the silhouette of something very large with those strange feet. And then she's kind of swept back up into the dancing with her siblings, especially since Skogul has made his way over.
And as they're dancing, Siobhan catches glimpses from the flames, and she does see their mother is sitting on top of a giant stag.
You hear Skalva scream, "Look deeper! Children, look deeper! The Prime Father weaves our fates in the flame. We will carve the God's will from our hearts if we must. Look deeper!" Everyone roll an Arcana for me. Skogul, please do so with advantage.
Holy crap. Shaela must have continued dancing. She's so swept up. Even the words of the person that she finds to be the most important person in her life can't cut through to the amount of tea that she drank. So she is just losing herself.
Skogul maybe like slows his dance and he kind of stumbles and finds himself on his knees in front of the flames.
Siobhan doesn't want to look at the flames anymore.
As Siobhan looks away and Shaela continues dancing, it's really Skogul who hears his aunt's words hit the strongest as he drops down to his knees, and the fire draws him in and the world around fades. The chance and your sisters beside you. Only the fire remains. And in the heart of this blue, frozen inferno of heat, you see a towering city with a pink crystal spire piercing a blackened, lightning-torn sky. The stone walls are draped in writhing, fluttering wings of shadow, like a flock of unseen insects beating against the stone with a mournful zzzz. From atop the battlements, blood pours in thick, relentless streams cascading down to stain the snow-draped land around the city. As within the city's walls, frost giants tear through the streets, smashing small folk and lighting buildings on fire. Your aunt is one of them. The other two wear faces of shadow. And soaring across the sky is a gargantuan, moon-sized white owl that screeches.
Yeah, right now in Skogul's state, he's not sure if he's seeing the past, the future. I think he has no idea what to make of this, but for the first time, he feels the touch of the divine in a way that he has never felt.
Please roll an insight for me. You needed a 10 or higher. You get the deep sense that whatever you're watching and whatever you're feeling, this vision is tied to your aunt's prophecy about your mother. Shaela, you feel like you're levitating, feet off the ground. You look down to find your feet and see yourself below, standing between your brother and sister, holding your sister's hand, staring into the fire as you move back and forth rhythmically. When you look up, the entire sky roars and rages with Shivervale light. A rainbow hurricane, crying tears of shimmering crystals, burn into bright points of light as they fall. As you ascend higher and higher, closer to the veil, you start to hear the sounds of screaming. At first it's just one, but a second joins in, followed by a third, and soon it's as if the entire sky screams out in horrifying agony. But it's not the sky that's screaming, it's you.
These kind of very quickly moved from that, desperation to feel connected to feeling overpowered and overwhelmed. And the only word that she can think of that comes to mind is just destruction. And she is overcome with the sense that for the first time, that maybe the direction that they're going in is not what the gods want.
And Siobhan, within these roaring flames, you are running alone across the plains. The ground at your feet cracks and hardens, turning to jagged ice that splinters upward like claws. The boulders around you groan and grows heavy, crystallizing into shards that swirl and tighten around your body. You stumble, desperate, as the ice wraps around you, crushing you down into the frozen earth.
She gets a sense of overwhelming loneliness that washes over her. She's afraid she's going to lose her siblings.
Slowly, as though pulled back by invisible threads, each of your visions recede into the deepening darkness of your minds, pulling you back to the night. As your hearts pound and the chanting fades back into your ears from the followers, and the fire returns to its natural orange hue and the flames sink lower, Skalva watches each of you carefully. What have the flames given you, children?
I think Skogul's actually desperate to hear what his sister saw, because he's kind of scared of what he saw.
Shaela was screaming. Has she stopped screaming
Yeah,
yet?
I was gonna say Shaela probably maybe snapped out of it when she heard her aunt's voice, because again, that's like the person that she looks up to the most. So I think she's panting and she's in death. It was horrible. It was just the whole veil was in chaos. And I can't see anything other than ruin. Tell me we're on the right path. Tell me we're doing the right thing. Like, she's like inconsolable because she's terrified.
Siobhan reaches out to Shaela and comforts her. And she says, I just saw loneliness. There was nothing.
And Skogul goes to the other side of Shaela and puts an arm on both of his sisters, and he's just like, I saw war. I saw a spire.
Skalva listens to you all speak, and she's like, her eyes are just like bright, and she's smiling, and she just says, the Prime Father speaks through your blood. The stars and the signs are so clear tonight. She looks down at Shaela and like gently takes your hands to, calm you down, and she says, the veil light cries out to you, my Shaela. So like your mother in both eyes and heart. That chaos is the voices of the gods themselves calling desperately across the veil. They plead for our attention. Your attention. Because they sense that you are a beacon.
She tries to take like a shaky breath and she nods. And she's trying to reconcile the panic and the fear with being the chosen. She's listening and trying to convince herself like this is just further evidence of what I already knew. So she takes another deep breath and nods.
As she does so, Skalva braces Siobhan's knee and she says, Siobhan, your vision is so pure and powerful just like you. Can't you understand its meaning? The cold is not your enemy, my strong girl. It is our birthright. The cold is the love of our ancestors, the old sacred Wildstone blood running in your veins. It embraces you to welcome you into your rightful place as the heir of this land's frozen legacy. You must not fear the ice, little one. It has loved you from the time before you ever felt cold.
She squeezes her sibling's hands and she says, "But I don't have to do it alone, right?"
And she smiles and she says, "Look to your left. Look to your right. When have you ever been alone?"
And she tries to find comfort in her siblings being there.
Skalva turns to Skogul, reaches out and places both hands on his shoulders, and she says, "My dear boy, Skogul, smallest of all of us, most like your father, your heart beats strong and elven. But you know what you are. It calls to you. War. The stones bleed for our coming. I have brought you all here to this moment alive and ready. Are you ready for the future, my son?"
He feels a sense of resolution that he hasn't felt before. And as he grips his sisters, he goes, "Yes, Skullmuther, I'm ready. We are ready."
After hearing that, she smiles and closes her eyes and she says, "Then I will be strong enough to let the gods carry you from here. Go now to the Pale Ravine. Let Panthers guide you under the cover of night. Take what you can from this tribe of betrayers to prepare you for this divine trip." She looks at Vigo, who sits beside her, and says, "2 of you will join them. We don't know if Galkin is still the tribe's warlord or not. Take what provisions you can without being seen. The blood moon will rise before the month's end. Soon I will cover this land with endless, bountiful trees and valleys of ripened, overgrown vegetables and fruits grazed on by the fattest wild wildebeests. There will be no scarcity of food." She turns to look at the 3 of you, "And on that day, my beautiful shards, your mother will walk this land again with us."
Skullmuther light our path.
So which of the 2 of your aunt's followers do the 3 of you want to bring?
Navaldi seems like a lock for me. And
He is a true believer.
I don't know that I would want to bring someone who is weak like that. Because my worry is, like, what if we get caught and he just immediately rolls? I think the wild card of Leif.
Are you kidding me?
Okay, so, like, just hear me out, right? He was one of the ones who originally was like, let's go and steal their shit.
So he thinks outside of the box. And if we take the one who's super pious and the one who's like super questioning, that creates a balance to me. And my teenage brain was like, yeah, that makes sense.
He didn't seem like he was looking for a fight when he talked about them.
Yeah.
He just seemed like he was wanting to go and take their shit.
I feel, well, see, I gotta push Haley away. Haley's got qualms about poor Navalny taking the bullet for someone. Because look at his smile.
I know.
His face.
That guy's not good at war, right?
Shaela would want the true believer. That's why I said when Skogul said him, like Shaela, I did weigh in. I do think that Navalny is a great idea because he is the true believer. Leif, I don't have any disagreements. I think those are both good choices.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think there would be much discussion surrounding it or even the asking of it. It would just be, Navalny, Leif, you're with us tonight.
And they just nod and agree. Leif is like, "You got it." And Navalny is like,
I will walk you through the path of righteous justice to deliver upon to you the weapon that you will use to draw your first blood and gain your status as giants.
Shaela stands up on kind of shaky legs and steels herself, but she won't take the first steps out of camp.
Skalva claps her hands and shouts, "Fly, children of blood, my children of frost and shadow, fly and collect your weapons of death."
Siobhan takes that symbolic.
I'm taking this one symbolic, y'all.
She takes that symbolic first step outside the camp and leads them off into the night.
It takes nearly an hour for you all to run across the plains from your aunt's encampment to the Pale Ravine. During this period, the sky seems to alight with the cosmos, blurring in and out in a stunning, ever-shifting display of shooting stars and brightly colored moons and the Shiver Veil, blurred into the background of reality itself, turning space into just this massive, colorful swath, shifting above your head, seemingly to press down on top of you as if it were just right there. When you reach the final ridge, at first you think your vision is blurred again, some kind of residual effect of the mushroom tea, but it is very real. Down below, in the Pale Ravine, sprawling out like a massive scar carved into the earth, lit softly by a sea of glowing torchlight, is the Sundering Wildstone. Once there was a city here, long before the Glacial Concord was signed, but now there's just this sea of canvas and leather and hide tents connected by sprawling makeshift walkways of woven thatch and vines. Massive tent structures, towering 40 feet high, strung together by heavy ropes and carved wooden beams, and hundreds of tents rippling gently in the cold wind. To the east, sheltered beneath the protection of this colossal ice shelf, is a massive herd of mammoths resting. On the village outskirts, a sprawling small folk shantytown curves around the larger, massive tent village. Hundreds of ramshackle lean-tos thrown up haphazardly by scavenger hordes stare back at you, guarding the center area. From here you can see trollkin, orcs, goblins, hobgoblins, even a few minotaurs milling about restlessly, caught up in their own evenings. At the heart of this sprawling settlement, the towering frost giants within stride confidently around amongst the tents. Despite the late hour, music spills out from dozens of different points within this village, amidst raucous laughter and drunken shouting and the occasional clang of metal striking metal. Not far from the central bonfires, gathered beneath a thin, slouching tent awning, stands a group of roughly 60 snow giants, huddled close together. They're all tied together like horses or snow dogs, and they mumble amongst each other, giggling in low murmurs, not really paying attention to the rest of the village's inhabitants. As you watch, a large frost reaver lumbers past them, and without breaking stride, just reaches out and shoves the outermost snow giant with a backhanded smash from his elbow. The blow catches the smaller giant off guard and sends her tumbling violently into the others, collapsing several in a clumsy, sprawling heap. A few curse, one yelps in surprise, and two scramble to catch a jug that nearly shatters on the ground. The reaver doesn't look back as the others in his warband laugh and continue on. The snow giants say nothing. They just close their ranks in tighter than before. The wind picks up, carrying smells of sweet and roasted meat from the village. As behind you, Leif exhales slowly.
See? They've brought back half the world with them.
Navaldi crouches low beside a boulder and says,
The three of you should be smart. Stick to the outskirts. We'll go into the camp and collect what food we can.
They've definitely brought back more than they need.
Yeah, Skogul's just watching the camp.
your goal here is to get into the small folk outskirts tent camp and find some good weapons that you can use for your first reeve.
Are there any tents that seem to stand out all along the outskirts?
Go ahead and roll a investigation or a perception for me.
+0 or -2?
There's a lot of these small tents. So as you're, scanning the area, you see that there are bigger, nicer tents than other spaces. These scavengers following these massive frost giants around on their continental tundra walk the giants don't care about them or lead them. So, like, they have their own sort of, like, internal leadership structures, and there would be people living in this, little outer town of goblins and orcs and minotaurs that have nicer things than others do, sure.
All right. Well, I mean, it sounds pretty straightforward. We just need to pick the tents that we want to check out. I don't think we'll want to go into the biggest tents because I think they'll have more eyes on those.
Mm-hmm. So we could start on the outside, work our way in.
Yeah, I think let's start with the most abandoned looking tent first.
So we could always grab small things to help us in the short term and then continue looking till we find what it is that we want.
Okay.
I concur.
Siobhan probably be looking for a good shield and a battle axe.
Yeah, I think Skogul will be looking for, just the finest bow. And maybe you could find some nice arrows with, like, napalm arrows or poison arrows, things like that.
Nuclear warhead arrows.
Straight out of what's that? No, not Top Gun. What's the name of that?
I'll still say straight out of Top Gun. You just have like an F-16 arrow. There's a tiny Tom Cruise inside of it.
Shaela wants the finest dagger she can find.
Okay. Everybody please roll a perception or an investigation for me. And as you sort of get closer into this like small folk outskirts area, are you doing anything at all to, obscure what you look like, or is that something that you don't even care about, considering that there are, frost giants here?
Yeah, I mean, without having access to the stuff that they walk around in, I think it'd probably draw more attention to us if we were walking around in clothes like that.
I mean, I would say that Shayla's trying to be a little bit stealthy, but she doesn't have any, like, disguise.
Dress up as babies.
I mean, as you guys are all walking through here, you are taller than most of the tents, or as tall as most of the tents, because, most of the people here are, like I said, orcs and goblins, hobgoblins. The only people that are as tall as you or slightly as taller than you in this area are minotaurs. So it's usually those tents that are the largest.
Skogul's overwhelmed.
Skogul is overwhelmed. Skogul, is not comfortable with city life.
Yeah.
He
He
has...
was also traumatized by a vision of a city, so...
That's very recently.
Yeah, that was like just now.
So they spend like a good hour, I would say, like looking through, sneaking through tents of people who are either drunk or, wandering the muddy streets, the snowy streets, out gambling, dancing, any kind of tents that they find that are empty and that look nice enough that they can pop in and out of without being seen. Finding many different items, Shaela sees a ton of swords and shields, and all of them are just shitty. And the same thing with Shaela, ton of daggers that are just not great, rusted over, old, too small, too dull. Same with Skogul, he's looking for a bow, and they're all small. Even a long bow for like a goblin is a short bow for you, and none of them are made as well as you. I mean, you've been growing up in the plains, you put care and time into your bows. But at some point, eventually, you guys find your way into this tent that belongs to a minotaur, and you know that it belongs to a minotaur because there's this massive just self-portrait, like this oil painting of this guy. He has white and brown speckled fur, and you see that he has an eye patch over each eye. There's a scar running along his nose, and in the painting he's wearing this beautiful like long and silver purple robe, but like each of his hands is this gauntlet, this metal gauntlet with like a mace fist at the end, and he's just like standing there. You see that like around his tent, it's very, very high ceilings, and he's got like a double bed and like a little wash space and a little shit pit. And then there's also this like chest, and a lot of the chests that you guys have so far encountered you've avoided because you're not, well, first off, you're not thieves, you're reavers. And secondly, you're not trying to draw attention to yourself, but for some reason, this guy left his chest unlocked. And within that chest, Shaela finds a really nice dagger, and Siobhan finds a really nice sword and shield.
Siobhan makes a comment about how pompous he looks in his portrait.
Yes, why would one worship himself?
I bet his God's not on his side tonight, and she's examining the dagger that she found. So I would say the hilt was silver with a lilac stone kind of set in the hilt at the bottom. So if you're holding it, it's on the front facing you, and it's kind of cut in this like octagon shape. And the edges of the blade also have that kind of like purple sheen to them after it was welded. They dipped it in something that like gave it this like purple sheen.
The shield mirrors the dagger. The sword does too, almost as if it was like a whole set. So the shield has that same octagonal shape. It's mostly purple, and it has like a spike in the middle. And the sword is very similar to the dagger with the filigree and the hilt. Only one of its edges is purple though.
Seeing that it's a set, she'll look around and say, this guy must not be experienced with the bow, Skogul. I think we're gonna have to keep looking.
And Skogul just nods. He's used to being left out.
Aww.
And as they step back out of this temp deeper into the camp, you all see that not far off, a gang of roughly 7-year-old frost giant children, 5 of them, each standing already at 9 feet, same as you, approaches. Each of them have just sort of crazed, wild looks in their eyes and unchecked malice for the small folk around them. They carry jagged rocks tied to sticks, and one holds up a splintered mammoth's tusk. Another carries a rusted axe head too heavy for any small folk to lift. They scream in laughter as they pour into the space around you, as many of the goblins freeze as the children descend. Their high-pitched voices shouting cruel slurs like mud rats and stone worms. One boy, whose teeth has already been filed to points by his parents, grabs a goblin by the leg and swings him around like a rag doll. Another wiry girl stomps through the smaller goblin tents, just crushing them under feet and giggling as goblins within wail and scream. 2 more children stomp through cook fires and knock over tents, and a taller girl picks up a shrieking goblin by the ankle and swings him around in lazy circles. He's a screaming drum, listen! And then she just like whips him faster and faster until he just like smashes into a tent post with this like crunch, and then like drops him like a rag. And then all around, the other goblins panic and shriek as the children chant, "Crush the worms, break the runts, that's what great-grandfather wants." And like you see a like trio of goblin elders step forward to try to intervene, shouting with their hands up, but a snowball packed with rocks slams one of them in the jaw, dropping them to the ground hard, and the others flee with some of the children giving chase, howling, stamping like baby wolves. And one of the younger boys stops to piss into a cooked pot while another knocks a crate of mushrooms into the snow so he can stomp them into a pulp and shout, "Small folk are dirt!" And as he turns away to follow the group, 2 of the stragglers head in your direction instead.
Man, Skogul doesn't want to fuck with these kids.
Yeah. They're not here to draw attention.
Everybody please go ahead and roll a stealth for me. And we want to get above 15.
God damn it. God damn it.
So, describe how Shaela manages to duck back inside that tent, but Skogul and Siobhan are not fast enough.
So Shaela had been the closest because when she was looking around to see it for Skogul if there was a longbow, like she hadn't really left the tent yet. So she was the closest, so she just kind of ducks back in behind the flap.
Go ahead and roll a perception or investigation for me, please, Haley.
13.
Okay. And for Siobhan and Skogul, the 2 of you see that one of the little girls notices you, and she says, "Look, Jaka, what is it? They're blue like us." And the other one says, "Miria, they're the half-bloods. Ew! Look at them. Their ugly, pointy ears. My brother told me about you. You're not as ugly as I thought, but he said you probably died on the plains because of your crazy witch aunt. She said you were probably skeletons now." And then she jeers and kind of points her rock club at you.
I'm just gonna look at Siobhan and just go, "This is not worth our time."
Siobhan leans into it and says, "Who says we haven't died? Who says we aren't skeletons now?"
Both of you roll an acrobatics above a 13 to avoid the rocks that they start throwing at you. So Skogul sees the little girl rear back to throw a rock, and he is able to avoid the toss. But after Siobhan leans in and says that, she just gets pelted like right in the face with a rock. Roll a d6 for me. That's going to be 2 damage. Do you escalate it into initiative, or
Are we fighting these?
No, we are not fighting these children.
Then what do you try to do? What do you try to say and or do here? As they have clearly established dominance in the situation. Remember, they're as big as you guys are.
Leaning into the rumors that they've heard, Siobhan says, "Oh, I don't know if you want to cast stones. My crazy witch aunt taught me spells of my own."
And then Skogul raises his hands in like a weird and creepy way, and then he just like makes a menacing face and starts walking towards them.
As he does that, a horn blows across the small goblin camp, and as you turn to follow the sound, you see a probably 12, 13-year-old frost giant is walking towards you. He's 6 feet taller than you, and he carries a bone club studded with flint shards, which he casually drags behind him through the snow. The younger girl runs over to him and she says, "Thryn, the abominations attacked us! These evil elf spawn tried to hurt us with their witch tricks. She said she does magic."
I mean, that's a no for Skogs. I'm just gonna put it out there. Maybe after doing that look and then she runs over, he just like lets his arms drop to his side and he goes, "I think we probably should run."
Yeah, we need to get out of here.
Where did Shaela go?
And you turn around and you see that Shaela is standing there holding a satchel of perfectly carved, beautiful elven arrows with mithril arrow tips.
Oh, those are beautiful.
She kind of looks longingly down at them, but she knows Skogul didn't get anything of his own, so she'll hold them out to him.
As she holds them out to him, behind Skogul and Siobhan, the 12-year-old giant looks down at his little sister and he says, "I told you they were real." And she shakes her club back up at him. She says, "I knew they were." And then, you notice that some of the other 7-year-olds are starting to return from their goblin chase, snickering.
Well, I would like to get the fuck out of there while they're busy bickering amongst themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's time to bolt.
Skogul gleefully takes the arrows and he goes, "Thank you."
Go ahead and everybody roll an athletics to see if you can get the fuck out of here before these kids just, descend on you.
That's a fucking nat 20.
Wow. Go ahead and describe how you all just fucking, flee back out into the plains.
If I may, I go, "Where the fuck is Shaela?" And then as we turn, she's just standing there holding these arrows, and then she's looking long. Well, before she looks longing at them, I'll go, and then Skogul just grabs them and runs off, and he goes, "Thank you."
Okay, fine, that's fine. She'll turn to Siobhan and say, "I was gonna give them to him anyways," and then take off after him.
And Siobhan just bounds off after they start running.
And as they start running, the 12-year-old shouts, "Abominations!"
He just hasn't looked in the mirror yet.
Shaela laughs. That was a good one.
How long do you guys run before slowing down to look back at the village?
Probably not running too long, maybe trying to find a hill to prop themselves up on to look over the village to make sure that Nivaldi and Leif come back.
Perfect.
You sit there in silence on the hill for a while. You hear somewhere that horde of mammoths trumpeting softly, preparing to sleep.
I really thought I was gonna leave empty-handed. Thank you, Shaela.
No problem.
And at least we found.
But we were. Go ahead.
And at least now we've found siblings that are far uglier than you two.
You know, Skogul, I was just about to say, we don't hate you, but now, I don't know, we might hate you a little bit.
Yeah, Shayla's doing that thing where she's balancing the dagger on her fingertip, moving it back and forth to make it balance. The thing that I was thinking about and that she was thinking about when we were in that little area is like, what kinds of creatures follow these giants around and like take advantage or would want to be subject to the violence? Those 7-year-olds were just like destroying their homes or whatever. So like, I was just thinking about the people, the types of races and the people that decide that they want to be like little scavengers for big groups of people that are conducting the reavings.
Yeah, I mean, small folk can convince themselves that those in power are leading the way, you know, and they will collect as much scraps and meat and gold that falls on the ground that they can.
I don't know how she feels about that. Maybe she's getting a little too big for her britches. Like, the idea of just like taking down 2 feet tall puffins doesn't feel like it would be like proving their worth if it's just they pick the easiest neighbors.
Puffin kebabs are on the list, on the menu.
Skogul just cuts to like him just screaming that.
Yeah, Shayla's not the boss. Like, she's not in charge. So that's why I'm just trying to process what's about to happen.
Have you
Like,
guys...
they just went down there to get weapons to murder.
To be fair, frost giants don't care.
They don't. And like, they're on a mission. You know, they're on a divine mission to bring their mother back from the dead. So
Yeah, we're good. They gotta end up on a barbecue, bro. It's just funny because these giants are so savage in a way, and like, oh yeah, they wouldn't worry about land rights.
no, that's what I know. I know that. And then we're gonna come back to Meryl trying to fucking solve all of the problems of this giant city, and then this is just gonna be haunting me for the rest of my life. It's fine.
Different characters,
We're good.
so
We're good.
we gotta get bled. That's what happens.
So as he says that, everybody go ahead and roll a perception for me.
The 7-year-olds sneak up to the camp.
Yeah, it's just
Oh
throat
my
slicing.
God, no.
Goodness, Skogul, where's your head at?
The
At the
puffins,
puffin
on the
camp.
puffins. It's on killing puffins. So, Shaela and Siobhan notice that sort of out to the west of you, maybe like a quarter of a mile, down like in the heart of some craggy areas, you see like the tippy top of like a glowing light of a fire rising up over the ridge. And you know that the light comes from an area known as the Sunken Cord, which is one of many entrances to a labyrinth of rocky passageways crisscrossing across the plain that traveling small folk often use to avoid the harsh tundra weather.
Gonna draw attention to the fire.
Ah, yeah, they would totally cook on that. Oh, you're not. Got it. What are you thinking?
Let's go check it out.
Aren't we supposed to wait for those guys?
Yeah, but they'll be fine. I mean, we're just gonna be over here. Come on, let's go.
Those guys, though.
She disregards Skogul at this point. She goes, Shay? And she like holds her hand out for her.
Yeah, she takes it and stands.
What the hell, man? That's not what we're here to do.
Again, she ignores and make their way towards the fire to see what's over there.
He like reluctantly looks over the hill towards the encampment, and then he looks at his sisters, and he rolls his eyes and follows reluctantly.
Everybody roll stealth with advantage because you're on the tundra and thus you'd be looking down into whatever this is below.
Good Lord.
Okay, everybody passed. A funeral pyre burns and cracks so loudly that you can hear it from where you're standing on top of the ridge. The flames climb high, and within the roaring pyre is the body of a shield maiden, fallen from a recent reave. Around the bonfire's edge, 6 other frost giants, fully armored, stand in a circle grieving. Their faces are all shadowed underneath heavy helmets of reindeer hide and bone, but you can hear them singing a haunting funeral dirge. Out of personal interest or sent by the gods, 3 ravens soar over the warm updrafts of the fire, catching a lift to carry it further across the lake toward the ridge, overlooking the space by nearly 100 feet. Settling quietly on the snow-covered land, one of the birds preens a feather from the other and lets it fall. It drifts down, lands on the head of Skogul. and then it falls off and lands on the snow at his feet.
I think Skogul's most impressed by the fact that they all have such different armor. And he asks, "You think they got all those during a reeve?"
Who knows? I wonder how she died.
Whoever she was, they respected her greatly.
Somewhere on the plains, you hear the low, bellowing howl of a dire wolf raise, followed by the harmony of the rest of their pack. A frost giant with the helmet designed to look like a demonic tree spirit steps towards the pyre, pulls out a jagged gemstone dagger and drags it along her ungloved blue palm. She squeezes her fist hard and then holds it over the heat for a long time, letting the blood drip down into the flames. The others join her in the ritual, pulling forth daggers to do the same. None of them flinch or weep. From the darkness along the valley's edge, 6 hulking, frost-tufted harlocks approach the pyre, slow. Harlocks are horned quadruple beasts native to the frozen plains and glacial rift valleys of the Scourge Garden. Their hides are a blend of slate gray and frost white armored plates. A thick, coarse mane of ice-slicked fur runs along their spines, and their faces are bear-like but elongated and armored with a calcified plating. A trio of broken horns wrapped in runic ice bands jut from their heads like a ruined crown. Think Arctic Tricerabear. After the ritual ends, the warriors stand in silence for a few moments until one by one, each takes a step back from the flames to approach their mounts. A few slap the hides of the beasts as if to wake old bones. Others press foreheads briefly to theirs in some quiet exchange of respect before climbing up into the saddle. At first, you assume they're headed back towards the Skogul Wildstone tent village, until one veers north towards the ocean, then another and another, until they all head away from you in a departing line.
They weren't Wildstone.
Well, if they are, they're certainly on a mission to go someplace else.
And Skogul stares down at the disintegrating body. Did they leave any armor or anything down there? Like, did they give, her final weapons, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, everything's still burning in the roaring fire.
A shame to lose those, but I guess they belong with her.
Is it like would it be a taboo to take them?
Oh,
Is that
I
like a
think
cultural
so.
thing? Yeah.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't curse the mission, huh? Yeah, Skogul's fine with that. He backs up in the snow to sort of look back towards the hill that they were at. Is that Raven still up there?
They are circling, yes.
Look, 3 of them, 3 of us.
It's a sign.
Hopefully a good one.
And as you say that, there's a sound across the plains, not too far behind you, back towards the Pale Ravine. And as you turn to look, you see both Leif and Nivaldi walking side by side, shouting your names into the wind.
Are they drawing too much attention? I told you we should have stayed on the hill.
It's okay, Skogul. Jeez. Stop being such a baby.
What did we learn here? What did we learn? 6 fucking frost giants and burning pits. There's nothing here.
We can only hope to be respected as much as she was. Look at how they honor her. Let's go back.
Okay.
As they're walking back, Siobhan says to Shaela, "Make sure my funeral is just as beautiful."
To be continued.